seconds tick down, and Ken Hinkley's Port Adelaide Premiership dream is over. Sam Mitchell's Hawthorn coaching Premiership dream well and truly alive. The Hawks with a victory stalking a top 4 spot. Count the end of the home and away.
Oh, hello and welcome to the CREEDCAST. As always, I am Dave and thank you for joining us. It's yet another week of therapy in order as your Port Adelaide Footy Club has once again gone down to a superior fighting force. Hawthorn, who may have been worried that the weather was going to scuttle their plans just as the scientists led by J. Robert Oppenheimer had been worried about weather potentially ruining the Trinity test in 1945. Ultimately, the weather broke just enough for them, and so it did for Hawthorn as well, handling the conditions and ultimately handling us. Can you hear the music? I can, and that's the Fat Lady singing on our season in 2025 as we go down 13-9, 87 to 7-7, 49. Mathematical chances are now out of the equation as well. We are done in 2025 as far as final chances. Jamie, your therapeutic tones are needed once again.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Hello to everyone, though. I'm sick of it. No, this is not the year that we envisaged to start off the season, that's for sure. We didn't expect a lot, but we didn't necessarily expect this. And I guess the pouring rain and ridiculous sideways wind movement just, yeah. How much more depressing could it get on Saturday? And then just have it unravel right at the end. It was just, yeah. It was just the epitome of our season closing, coming to a halt. And now we're just looking for scalps on the way to the end of the season. Hello again to you, and hello again to everyone tuning in. Appreciate everyone's support, just right off the top. We're all in this together. At the end of the day, we're all nuffies, and, you know, it's good to just get the thoughts out there. But look, Saturday was okay for a bit, considering, and then it wasn't okay, and then you leave yourself asking, is it cricket season yet? That's pretty much for mine. I'm looking into who's scoring runs at the top for Australia. I'm watching a fucking T20 in the West Indies. But thankfully they're a lot better than how our Port Adelaide season is going. So you get some joy there.
Yeah. I'm like, cricket, Premier League's around the corner again. And of course, AFLW.
Off-season transfers.
That type of thing. Liverpool have made another signing, and I'm just like, this must be. It's like nice to have a team that's got their shit together. Thankfully, our AFLW ladies hopefully will give us some joy in just under a month as well.
True.
Kicking off at Alberton on August 17th for any of those that are not quite keyed in on the women's season yet. Alberton is the home opener on August 17th, which is Sunday mid-afternoon. So get around that.
Would be?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Yes, it's a beautiful place to watch footy. Glad the women get to call that their home. It's good to see. And as I've said to you many times, and this isn't the AFLW preview yet, but I've always said it's great to see Alberton.
Can it be?
Yeah, can it be? Can we just fast forward, just loop it forward until then, and just because this season's done for the men, unfortunately. So to finish my point, AFL. It's great to see AFL represented at Alberton. So yeah, looking forward to that. But alas, we have a few more weeks of Port football to get through, including talking about this round 19 match against Hawthorn, which we ultimately, we end up losing by 38 points, which is insane because. As you mentioned, we were in it right up until I think it was just I just had the last couple of quarter and a half on in the background about an hour ago. I was looking for a certain sequence of play that just for segments later on, and just wanted to rewatch it to get my handle on it. And I just kept on watching as I was doing a few notes, and with 12 minutes to go, we're only 12 points down, 13 points down. They kicked away, but then Georgie kicked the goal. And, the game was in the balance. But it was kind of, it also felt like when we played West Coast last week, where as soon as we finally got the break on West Coast, I said, somewhat, I didn't mean it in disrespect to West Coast, but I said, look, once we got that 8-point break, I was like, well, I think we've got it now. And I think Hawthorn might have been, I would have forgiven Hawthorn fans for feeling the same. Maybe they wouldn't have because they had some PTSD to Dusty Burn-Jones last year, but 12 points felt like, the conditions aside, Hawthorn were just better. They got better throughout the day. They started handling the conditions better. And even with 12-point gap with 12 minutes to go, which Dwayne was doing his best to try to massage the drama out of it. I think when we got after Georgia kicked a goal, I think that was actually later on in the quarter. I've got 8 minutes 37 seconds left. That Dwayne actually just shouted, "There's still 8:37 left." And
yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah, and I think that was at 20 points at that point, and I was just like, "There's no fucking chance, Dwayne. Like, love your words, it's not fucking
essentially
happening."
Double that.
Yeah,
it felt like double the score. You're just like, yeah. We basically had to sit in a cuck chair, much like we do in relation to South Australian football for the rest of the fucking year. We just have to be the cucks sitting in the corner now, watching on
is that it?
as the.
Is that like Crazy Stupid Love when like Steve Carell's drunk at the bar and he's just like talking to Ryan Gosling and he's just going, "I'm a cuck. I'm a cuck." And he's just like,
it's been so long since I've seen it.
It's like,
sure.
it's a great fucking movie.
Good movie. Yeah, it's just been a long time since I've seen it.
Oh, sorry. I thought, yeah. I just remember like Steve Carell and like that classic Steve Carell voice, like doing drunk voices, going, "I'm a cuck." And that's going to be us for the rest of this season, unfortunately. And yeah, certainly during this game. It's just, we should talk about the conditions for a moment because they were diabolical before we get into the lines, and we could talk about how the conditions affected different lines, but just in generality. Like, I know you said you missed some of the first quarter watching live. Did you catch the replay just of when the boundary umpire tried to throw? Like, we actually had a called back boundary throw in because when he threw it, it went fucking 10, 15 meters, like as it caught in the air. It's just amazing the wind tunnels that were involved once.
Yeah. And then they had to compensate for it.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the match.
Which was incredible work by them, actually. Like, kudos.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of, on the cricket theme, we're getting a lot of swing bowling references and visuals just from the, throwing it there to expect it to end up here. And more often than not, it did. There was one late, I think it was, that landed on Willem Drew's head, and just in conjunction with, on the topic of umpiring and just the fucking terrible officiating that we had to witness on top of the terrible conditions, landed on Willem Drew's head like 5 meters in from the boundary, and they just called play on. Yeah. Pretty sure Hawthorn exited out of our forward 50. It's like, okay, we're just going to let that go now. Yeah. You've had enough of officiating properly, in quotation marks. So, it was ridiculous conditions. Forcing the umpires to kind of pivot a little bit in some regards, and then not pivot in terms of adjudicating ticky touchwood 50-50 moments of football.
Yeah, that was frustrating, and like in conjunction with the conditions that the one that immediately comes to mind was like when Jace got pinged. Like, there was ones like, Manny Liddy kind of didn't disguise it well at all, so he justly gets called. Yeah. But I think it was only a minute or two later, when the Jace Burgoyne, when he kind of tries to hack it out of the defensive 50 and it just comes off the side of the boot and it's insufficient intent. It's just like, that's not how the rule is written. Like, change the writing of the rule. I just don't know. It's just so frustrating.
100% change the rule. Yeah, we've been beating that drum for a long time. But it's not like he even... For me, it looked like he was just trying to tap it on for him to then collect.
Yeah.
But it came off the side of the boot. He didn't boot it, for want of a better term, and it went out. Like, I understand when it's just a wild hack and it's gone like straight out. You're just like, well, that was just not egregious, but unnecessary.
Yeah.
On another game in better conditions, if there's a stoppage, on the half forward, half back flank, and someone's just had a wild swing at it with their foot, and it's gone out of bounds. Like, I'm okay with that being paid insufficient intent, but his is more like he was trying to caress it a little bit, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
like tap it on, and then and then gets penalised for it. It's just and that, I mean, that was just one moment in a. I mean, yeah, we had a chat going on the day, and I was just like writing. I deleted half of them because just so many moments of frustration, not only by some of our inadequacies, but also just the interference it seemed by those officiating what was a pretty difficult game to play on both sides, and
Yeah.
therefore contested situations or 50-50 situations. It's almost like you're, as a fan, you're asking for wet weather rule book to be opened
Yeah.
up, which is, again, like it's an indictment that we go, oh well, you should pay rules in the wet this way, rules in the dry this way. We don't make it easy for the umpires, but we do expect,
Yeah.
a bit of common sense to prevail in those situations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other sports, like, I mean, yeah, some of the ones over in the US are predominantly indoors anyway. But well, I've watched, you've watched snow games of NFL where you just see they
Yeah.
are giving a little bit of leeway to certain things because they're like, that's just, conditions can change the way things are. Yeah, and like to your point as well, like just the consistency between how, because there was Manny Liddy should have had two shots on goal in the first half inside 51, getting
Yes.
caught high, and then one for when he caught someone holding the ball, and we got no luck there, and both of them were pretty easy to see for me.
Obvious.
Obvious, yeah. And then
Those weren't even conditions based. They
no,
were just
exactly,
obvious
yeah.
free kicks.
And then
Yeah.
you go, okay, well maybe if they're going to call it both ways, but then no, like it was like we had a high against, and then some holding the balls that were just like that were very again they were there, but they were like exactly the same to me. So I'm like, if we're not, it's not even a consistency thing, and they weren't any more or less obvious. So it's like either, and with it's, again, the four umpires thing is like there should be someone on the ground that's seeing that. So because that's literally the play. Like someone's got to be seeing it. It's not like it was real congested. It's there. So yeah, I did some facetious content on the weekend due to all of it because it was just like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Whatever helps you manage people, whatever helps you
Exactly.
manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we
Yeah.
are talking about umpires. You can tell it was a bad day at the office, but hey, we're all probably feeling similar things, similar emotions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got to let it out. And I mean, the umpiring performance was just terrible. Like, there's no other way about it. It just everything compounded. But to our boys' credit, they stuck at it. We said in the
Mm.
Patreon show on Thursday that while our injury list is full of key components, we've still got names on paper. So with the weather burgeoning, it was basically, if we bring the effort, we have enough names to get some sort of a job done in the conditions that were forecast. And by and large, they did. Unfortunately, though, the underbelly and just where we're at this year inevitably caused it all to unravel. I mean, you can't let fucking German Impey kick 3 goals in a row.
Mm.
3 goals, sorry, 3 goals, period, let alone 3 goals in a row. That's just like, that was kind of
Yeah.
white flaggy looking to me after they'd put in such a good shift for large parts of the game in fucking terrible conditions again. But as well as that, another symptom of our season is that we didn't really capitalize on
Mm.
when we were in control of the game, and I felt like we were in control of largish portions. But then, as well as that, the obvious advantage that either side got from kicking with the wind. I don't think we fully took advantage of those moments in quarters 1 and 3. Again, not taking advantage of momentum, letting scores unravel late. Like, yeah, a nickel for every time we or any other Port Adelaide fan has spoken about that this season, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And we can talk about like the forward 50 stuff and when we get to the forwards, I guess. Before we get to the lines and if there's anything else generally you want to talk about, I guess we should mention, I guess now's as good a time as any, but I think hopefully finally, I mean it's going to be put to bed anyway, but the Ken Hinkley Jack Ginnivan byplay was handled well, I think. Not by fans, in some respect on the social medias.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sanctimonious Hawthorn fans without a shred of sense of humor.
Very sensitive considering that they won the game in the
Yeah.
end.
I said to you in a text, I said the biggest issues I've had with opposition fans beyond probably Crows fans is Hawthorn fans between the semi-final last year and which I did probably go a bit hard at the likes of Luke Hodgson,
Oh yeah,
Sam
yeah,
Mitchell
yeah.
after the game.
Every one of us were putting some mayo on
Yeah,
it.
but they deserved it with how they were a bit sanctimonious after that one, and then they did a little meme calling out a little bit of the hypocrisy in there how the AFL has handled it. People don't get
And
that.
it's not even necessarily like directed at them. It's still a jab at the AFL in
It is.
essence, but they still like
The
got
caption
so
was AFL's going to
butthurt
AFL.
about
It
it.
was like nothing to do with Hawthorn.
Yeah, and then your mate AFL Glicko shared it as well, which didn't help your case.
Yeah, which is as I think someone replied to him like, why are you so bitter about Hawthorn? He's like, I am a Geelong supporter. Figure it out. Like he was like, I am being biased myself, but like, yeah, it's very very funny how some people on Twitter just do not understand context, subtext, or have a sense of humor. So, anyway, I didn't mind it. I thought Ginnivan actually did it the perfect way it should have been done, which was like, yeah, this is like a year old now. Basically, I'm doing a little one because that's what people expect, but whatever. And
He's serving the crowd.
yeah,
And in somewhat reluctance to do it. I mean,
yeah. He would have much
put
preferred it in the return leg earlier this year when it was really up there, and he didn't get the chance. So he's kind of closing the book on it when he gets his chance. It was kind of, junk time goals, I guess, at that point as well. So there was that aspect of it.
For sure.
If it had been a winner, like with a minute or so to go, it would have been completely different, I'm sure. And again, that probably would have been earned at that point as well. But Hinkley handled it well, both in the moment when they flashed to him in the box, kind of like, what else are you going to do? And then...
and that's the thing that I feel, just from a personal point of view, if I can cut in, like, in regards to Ken, and from certain quarters is a word that I sent to you in the week, certain quarters of Port Adelaide fandom, they like to really hang on the fact that Ken laughs in precarious moments across his tenure. But every time Ken is asked about it, he basically runs the same line. It's just like he loves football. Sometimes shit happens. Sometimes football happens, and I mean we're big proponents of gallows humor.
Absolutely.
That's all I've ever interpreted it as. Like, I think it was obviously the one moment that sticks out to me was, I think, the Jordan Dawson kick after the siren in that showdown.
Uh-huh.
I think he had a wry smile on his face, and everyone knows the type of people that I'm talking about. They kind of screenshot it, and I'm talking about Port Adelaide fans here.
Yeah.
Screenshot it. They put it in their collage of Ken, displaying a wry smile in moments where gallows humor is all that you have. And for you and I, it's just like, oh, for fuck this shit. But all you can do is that. Ken has always been like that.
Yeah.
But it's always been in the gallows humor, or the, like, oh, well, I've caught my fucking whack there, haven't I? Or, or footy's happening. Shit's happening. Shit happens. Football happens. And that was just another moment. Like, it didn't surprise me that Ken took it well.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a proportion of people who took offense to Ken making light of it.
Yeah.
But if you don't make light of something like that, you're being a bit of a stick in the mud, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, and as you've said many times in how we both talk about, the mental health aspect of football fandom at times. And sometimes, like, if you do get too serious about everything, it will just ultimately affect everything going on. Life is ultimately happening around you. So if you take that shit too seriously, then yeah, I'll get angry. And there's certain coaches, like if we look back at Choco Williams, who when a phone wasn't working in the grand final, almost tore down the MCG. Like there's people do handle things differently, but Choco's got a very warped in a positive way sense of humor as well. Like every coach is different in how they handle things. Ken just does have that, as you said, gallows humor point of view looking at it. You'll see him like during the game, even this one, there was moments where like things were happening on the field. He'd stand up
I was
in
just
the
about
box
to
and look pretty fucking
balance it
frustrated.
out.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw it in that Brisbane game at quarter time. Like what seems to be forgotten by these certain sections of people is that you get the good with the bad, as a matter of perspective, of course. But yeah, you get the wry smile and the gallows humor. But Ken, as good as any coach in the league, from player feedback, which is all you can really go of, is like he clearly can give out a serve if the time calls for it, and we've seen that on telecast, but also there's been many recounted
Yeah.
episodes or allusions to that fact as well.
Yeah, I can't think of anything
like,
in the moment right now, but I've heard players, whether they be players that are former players talking about their career or if it's players currently going like
Tom Jonas, I think I remember. I
he
mean, even
said,
Travis
like,
Boak, he's playing. Robbie,
yeah,
back in the day, revered figures of our football club that, again, certain people, they love these players who attribute some of their success to the coach they had at the time, but these people don't want to cross-pollinate that appreciation, which is fine. Everyone's entitled. I'm getting a bit
lateral
stuck on a
thinking's a little bit
bent here, but
difficult for some.
everyone's entitled to their opinions at the end of the day. But it just seems to be focused in one portion of the topic and without the balance of quarter time versus Brisbane, where you're looking at every single fucking midfielder in the eye and telling him to pull their finger out of their ass, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think how we got to that, but it was Ginnivan. But handled well.
Yeah,
I think and I think my main point was on my I guess gallows humor or whatever you want to call social media on the night was just more like it just give his 20K back, or it's the AFL's done quite well out of it. The market, even the stuff after the game this weekend, all the content was about it, and it seems like it would be a nice thing to do. It probably won't happen because AFL's going to AFL, but it would be a nice gesture.
I would imagine though that if it were to happen, the AFL being the AFL would want to keep it hush hush.
Yeah.
Like Ken will just magically get an envelope after the season's finished in his letterbox. Just 20K check or something like that.
Yeah. It'd be even funny if it was like a throwback to 90s, 80s football and a brown paper bag turned up somewhere. Like just the old Carlton paper bag. You were ready to get into the lines and talk about
we might as well.
Stuff
Let's do it.
that occurred amongst the winds
Talk about
and
things and
rains
stuff.
of Tasmania. Oh, the Apple Isle was wild on the weekend. Defense first. I mean, Jesus, it's a tough gig for the likes of Alir and Zerk Thatcher, and certainly trying to read the ball coming in just both ends was difficult, but for defenders trying to read the ball whilst also trying to account for the movement of it, and Hawthorn's ball movement got better as the game went on. They just had more of the ball. They had 82 more disposals than we did for the game. This is a team that going in have a 13 disposal differential, so they basically plus 70, plus 65 odd disposals on the averages. So they had more of the ball going in, 65 inside 50s to 44 Hawthorn's way, obviously. So our defenders had to do a lot of work. Obviously, the conditions also, to your point, leading into the match last week, you're saying this could be an equaliser. It did help us because they, but ultimately our defenders were having to deal with more of the ball, and that's where the dam ultimately broke once the weather broke a little bit. And they just got better and better at getting players out the back, which was what the commentators were saying all day. Have someone over the top because the ball's going to carry. Like it's so inconsistent. Like you're going to have some carry, get someone out the back, and they just did. I think they battled well, but I can't, there's a few few guys, like I think Jason and Lockie both had games they'd like to take back if they could, or efforts at times. I think Lear and Zerk Thatcher did the best they could as tall men, both probably a little bit hampered still dealing with those
Mm.
conditions. Both had a lot of intercept possessions and whatnot, but ultimately it wasn't a fun game to watch in any line really, but in particularly watching your team try to defend a team that does have the mosquito
Mm.
fleet and the speed of feet, and then they throw Jarman Impey back foot up forward in the last quarter as well, which was just
Yeah, fuck off. What the fuck, man? Like, fuck off. And just, yeah, hurts even more knowing that he used to wear our jumper. In
yeah,
those moments, as we discussed, I think it was on the Thursday night show that no qualms about him in particular, but you
yeah.
never really want him to do well against us. And unfortunately, I think he had an okay game, and then he kicked 3 goals. So fuck that shit. I'm pretty emotional. Yeah.
got Jamie hot
Um,
under the collar.
yeah. I just fuck this shit.
Emotion gold.
I will. I've got to pay credit to Kane Farrell though.
Yeah,
His last couple of weeks have been quite impressive. I think whether it's a step up, I don't know. He's reached these levels over the last 18 to 24 months. It's just yeah, periods this year. Again, the defense has had to soak up a lot of pressure and whatnot, and he plays more of a rebounding role. But in the last couple of weeks, I think his defensive accountability has somewhat held up. His solidarity, for want of a better term, just being a key figure down back, he's been
mm,
impressive. Bergman was kind of rotated through a lot. He fucking ended up with what was it, 14 tackles. So while he didn't get a lot of the ball this week, Bergman, he's still putting in the pressure acts, tackles, and for the disposals that he did get, he got meters gained in a game where you're just chucking it on the boot most of the time. So a lot of
mm,
these kickers have meters gains. Zerk Thatcher, I thought he started a shitload better than he finished. Unfortunately, it just seemed, and again, another topic from our Patreon chat on Saturday was that like in the end, in the last quarter, once Hawthorn had continued to turn the screws and were clearly the better side, like you mentioned before, it seemed like his confidence just completely eluded him.
mm,
And yeah, he was double fisting genuine marking opportunities and just he looked like a shell of the player that even started the game where he took, we were chatting pre-recording, he took a nice contested mark when the ball was high in a bit of a contest. I think he copped a whack during that. You mentioned another moment where he had to take some heat. And yeah, it's just not really going to hang him out to dry. It's been a tough year for him in particular.
mm.
It's been quite. He's been playing catch up ever since he did that back injury. So
Yeah,
it is what it is. Elia on one leg still looked um, like the senior figure that we expect him to be. I thought he held up relatively well considering 100% time on ground for Elia as well.
mm,
Um, he didn't look as hobbled, but again, that is a bit more kind of grab kick is a little less kind of strategic movement in one of
yeah,
those games. So it probably made it a little bit easier for him in some regards. Not having to run around and chase on an open, dry field. So
mm,
yeah, tough work for the guys back there. Like you said, Jace Burgoyne, Lockie Jones. Yeah, Jace Burgoyne for me, I just it was such a yin and yang game from my perspective because I thought he genuinely did really well to get the ball. I mean, he finished the game with 26 disposals,
mm.
but the problem was when he did get the ball, more often than not, there was some really poor disposal or poor decision making. So yeah, it's within
And we know we can be better.
being
Like we've
yeah,
seen
it's
it.
within arm's reach. Like the best players' votes or whatnot, it's within arm's reach for him on a day on Saturday. But you do all that hard work to get the ball. Yeah, like 9 ground ball gets, I think was up there. I think second best on ground for us. but went at 38.5% disposal efficiency. So he would obviously know. He'd know. Just disappointing to get such a high amount of the ball in
Yeah.
those conditions and relatively burn it. And that does nothing for your confidence as the game wears on. And then as Hawthorn are getting better and applying more pressure, you're at a hiding to nothing once you're in that mode,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, there was a moment in the game. I think it was in the last quarter actually, because I've got the note that Impey eventually scores the goal, so it must have been the last quarter. But there was ball comes out into like kind of midfield, and Aliir's pushed up, and he goes to like kind of gather it in a half volley, and he kind of just gets past
Mm,
him, and then so he's tried to
yeah,
keep it in front, but he doesn't. And then the next kick from Hawthorn, who gather from that one, kicks down, and Sin ultimately tries to do exactly the same thing, tries to keep it in front of him, and just gets squeezes under his arm. And so, like, there's two players have tried to be that last defender, keep the ball in front. It's just squeezed past both of them, and it's just like a comedy of like a cavalcade of errors down the field, and just like
mm,
it just like summed up our, because Hawthorn was just so much like they weren't cleaner. Because when you look at disposal efficiency for the day, both teams are pretty bad. But just Hawthorn in the key moments like that wouldn't happen to them if the sequence went the other way. They would have at least one of those two players would keep it in front of them. We have Aliir, who we think is, he is an All-Australian defender, just can't quite keep it in front of him at ground level. And then the next kick goes forward, and it's like, Sin, oh, well, at least Sin can do it. And the exact same thing happens, and eventually it's a goal against.
mm.
Score from turnover was again brutal in this one. Let me just scroll down my list here. 9-6, 60 to 2-5, 17 was the turnover score differential. It's essentially where the game's won and lost again. We have a marginal gain at stoppage, we were plus 5 points,
Yeah.
but otherwise, we just, whether it be in the defensive half or the forward half, the turnover game was really what Hawthorn benefited from, and that's what's been burning us all year. And I keep thinking of, I think it was Chad Corns at the start of the year, and one of the radio and interviews or whatever said that the game style we're going to try and play will be predicated on how well we can balance that turnover differential. And ultimately, we've seen all year it's been an Achilles heel, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even more so in a game like this where both teams are not going to be clean with the ball, but you want to take advantage from turnover, and we just couldn't. Like we just don't take any, and it doesn't happen whatever week, whatever the conditions. We don't take advantage, whereas other teams can just get the turnover, have us on our heels, and if you've got the ball movers to get the ball going forward quickly, then you're going to find us out of position and struggling to contain the score. And this game, and yeah, the amount of goals they kicked later in the game when they went over the top, and it was Gunston running into an open 50, or that one where they get somehow it ends up over the top, and they've got a choice of three players that have gotten out behind our defensive line.
Yeah.
Just brutal stuff. And we just can't, it's. I'm just ready for the season to end, so I have to stop going to Wheelo ratings, going, what's the turnover numbers? I bet it's not going to be surprising. And this one was even more shocking to me. I was just like, it wasn't that much of a gap for the game, really. I was thinking, they're not going to be huge numbers, but they're still plus 43 points on turnover. I was just like, for fuck's sake, brutal.
Yeah, well, because even when we had the wind on our backs, we still managed to pick Hawthorn defenders out when we hacked it forward and whatnot. We didn't even give our guys good chances at getting out the back, or again, not
Exactly.
kicking into space, not kicking to advantage side. It's just, again, some repetitive notes that keep propping up that are wildly frustrating. And you would hope that with another preseason officially under Josh Carr, they tighten the screws on the game plan, because
Mhm.
somewhat of a benefit of the doubt, it's well known, and like you mentioned that Chad Corns interview, they have developed a new game plan, or they are, sorry, implementing a new game plan, and there's clearly holes in it at the
Mhm.
moment. So one can only hope that they would be continuing with it, because AFL game is more or less a turnover game now.
Mm,
It's pretty well spoken about. So it's on you as a team to either benefit from that or defend it.
mm,
And we're in foreign waters, so to speak, because we've played such a different style of football for so long.
mm.
Now we're trying to change tack. Yeah, I would desperately hope that we bring those fucking scores from turnover down against, I'm talking about, because, yeah, we've just continually shot ourselves in the foot. And then, yeah, you get the conversations about they look unfit. And there's no wonder why they look unfit when they're turning it over at the rate that you quote nearly every week now.
Mm.
You can't defend it. You look
Yeah,
poor. You look slow.
because the turnover differential wasn't like, I mean, it still was a differential, but it wasn't huge. It was 92 to 84. Obviously, us with more. It's incredible. Like the clanger numbers are actually like plus -7. Like we actually had less clangers on the day, but that's also mitigated by the fact they had 80 more disposals. So the like actually clanger per possession, our numbers are worse. So that's like probably part of it there. I've kind of thought through that on air for you guys. So
Mm.
you're welcome. Yeah, I mean we can start kind of transitioning to the midfield as well. Certainly, like I'm sure
Yeah.
defense will come back, but like when you look at the numbers, like as stoppage and clearance again hasn't been we've been kind of improved in those areas. And considering the fact that we were missing some of our, Butters didn't have a huge game. Ollie Wines battled incredibly well considering he was taking some ruck duties as well. But we at stoppage, we even the numbers 41-41, slightly shaded at the centre clearance. Obviously, Jordan Sweet had a great game. We'll touch him in a moment. But we just couldn't get our hands around the ball. Like once the ball got outside of, because the game was there was a lot of stoppages. So we didn't. Once the ball got outside, we just couldn't really get any control of the contested possession. The second and third efforts around the stoppage and around centre clearance, wherever it may be, Hawthorn were winning those. The contested possession numbers were plus 28 in favour of Hawthorn, of course. They're never going to be in favour of Port. Like just in this year's edition of the podcast,
Well, and then when they
I'll set
were,
an
we lost
alarm
the
off if they,
game.
yeah, exactly. Of course.
So you're damned
Yeah.
if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
But yeah, they were just better. They hunt around the ball once it got outside of some of those areas, and then they just held the ball better. I mean, I think it was in the game, obviously not a high marking game. Both teams average 85 marks a game, but it was 54 to Hawthorn, 30 to us. So, I mean, those are just, when it wasn't going to be a game where we're going to get close to our average, but at least Hawthorn got over halfway to theirs. We could, take 30 of the 85 we average for the year. So, and they just have more disposals. They have more of the ball, and that's because they got more control once it got out. Because when you look at stoppage numbers being pretty even, you'd hope, well, maybe we can do something against this team that's got it, but they just did better. They held the ball better outside of the stoppage and were able to gain more control of the game outside of there, just with better intent and hunt. Like it's not like they've got better. Like we've got, as we said in the lead up, we've got some great players still in this game, regardless of the ones that were missing. None of them stood up, and maybe that was partly because of the ones that were missing. Butters could get more attention. How do you?
They feasted on that.
Yeah,
But I mean, credit to him, he kept at it,
he did.
but he was clearly impeded
Mm-hmm.
for the match, and we lacked representation or experience around players like him and
Yeah,
Ollie. Willem was doing a bit of a job, but he ended up with the 17 disposals himself. Boki had a quiet game, and then you're asking Hugh Jackson and Jackson Mead, who's drawn the ire of a group of Port fans in recent times, warranted, unwarranted. That's left to be seen. Liddy, after we pumped him up last week, had a game that he'd like to put in the rear vision mirror sooner rather
could
than
have had
later.
two goals if the umpires had, but he could have had two misses.
Absolutely
based
agree
on
with
that
that.
too, with the win.
100%. Will Lorenz, just clearly at a point in his career where he's in between SANFL and AFL standard.
Mm.
I think. And I mean, great goal to kick off his AFL goal tally, it must be said. But
Mm.
yeah, he's just kind of in that twilight zone. So from a midfield point of view, while a beast like Ollie Wines is still keeping at it, Jordan Sweet had a career game. Zach Butters was intentional and he fought hard. It's still impeded. We just didn't have representation, and I can understand fumbling in that weather in congestion. I kind of like stop trying to pick it up and just get it forward. In some regards, but
Mm.
there was even moments where players had portions of space to then gather the ball, but still managed to fumble and invite pressure. Whereas
Yeah.
the difference you're talking about with Hawthorn is that outside of heavily contested situations, they still managed to gather the ball if they had a
Mm.
skerrick of space, or more than that. And they still seemed like they had a game plan, whereas it seemed a bit Oz kicky from
Mm.
our side of things, particularly as the game wore on. And once they would tighten the screws in the third and fourth quarters, we were just kind of clutching at straws, and it was really predictable, really just grab it and kick in hope. When, like, the scoreboard indicated that all we needed was just some calmer heads and a bit more footy smarts in the end. And there's a lot of high IQ AFL footballers in our team, but yeah, mentally you drag yourself or you get dragged down to a level, and yeah, you just kind of your ability to think in the moment just eludes you.
Yeah. I was talking about the work around a stoppage, like outside of or around clearance. And you were talking about the ground ball stuff as well, because we were just inviting pressure by just not gathering the ground ball quick enough. Hawthorn had 123 ground ball get to the game total. We had 103, so it's a plus 20 differential. We look at clearance. We were plus 1 in clearances total for the game. But then at post clearance ground ball, Hawthorn were plus 15. So basically, most of their ground ball difference came from just around clearance in a
Hmm.
section, and clearance being a section that we were pretty even in. That means that you can kind of look at something, you can start getting little statistical snapshots like this in the post clearance. It really was just that second and third effort outside of the clearance that won the game, because you look at that as, we're
Hmm.
pretty even on clearance, but they get an advantage on ground ball, and 3/4 of that ground ball advantage comes immediately after the clearance. It's just like there's the game right there, and then that extrapolates out too, because once you're winning those ones, that gets you're on your toes going forward, and that you start generating
Yeah.
that momentum that they eventually built into a win, because they felt it, they just felt the game, and obviously Tassie's a second home for them, and they've got a good record down. I think they're undefeated down there the last few years or whatever, and they have had some good
Pretty
wins
much,
down
yeah.
there. But with the conditions the way they were, if we'd handled certain moments better, we could have kept ourselves in the game longer and potentially been in the game with a few minutes to go. We just, we're tentative. We're on the, we were playing like a team that knows that the season's basically shot, and what subconscious impact that has on your ability to gather the ground ball when you're decent players that are around that situation. I don't know.
Mm. Well, and the issue was, like, inside 50s was 65 to 44, like you mentioned, but efficiency inside 50 was pretty similar. It was 38.5% to 36.4% on our end. So that just furthers what you're saying. If we actually had the presence of mind to work our way up the field, as opposed to just being under 10s and haphazardly kicking it straight to opposition players, as the turnover statistics would say, we actually did fairly well of putting a score on the board when we did actually get it in the vicinity, compared to Hawthorn's efficiency inside 50. But,
Yeah.
they're
Hawthorn's
starved of opportunity in a way.
Hawthorn's efficiency inside 50 numbers probably got boosted with that last quarter. I'd be surprised if
Yeah.
we weren't almost leading. Like, I would have loved to have checked that halfway through the third quarter or something like that, or at some point later, like after because we came back from 2 goals down at halftime to get it back and tie it up halfway through that third quarter. Like, we might have been looking like having almost better numbers, but yeah, it was that stuff. Once we got up to the forward 50, it was just, getting inside and giving, leading.
Bermuda Triangle type stuff.
It just disappeared. Yeah. Oh, it's so frustrating seeing some of these numbers because you just go, look, there was a way to win this game. It's just like effort and intent and skills around the ball just frustrating.
I think it comes down to a bit of polish.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as the game wore on, we just lacked polish.
Yeah.
Couldn't hold the ball. We couldn't dispose of the ball. Um, and yes, we're talking about a game that was absolutely fucking pissing down with rain.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
But
only
there's two teams. There's two teams that play on the same ground, and
mm,
one team had the polish to get them into a winning position, and then franked that, and then one team just purely and simply didn't, and that was us,
yeah.
unfortunately.
It's actually quite incredible when you look at the scores and go, it was 13-9 to 7-7. Like that's like it should the scoring was actually reasonable once we got it down. Like players and we'll talk about our forward line in a moment, but the players just from both sides actually handled. It's ironic to see after we have so many issues with goalkeeping at different times, whether it be in good conditions or whatever, that players are actually working to the conditions so well that they were actually able to utilize the. Yeah, we'll talk about our forward and some of those kicks in a moment, but yeah, Hawthorn just did it better. That's the thing, as you said, we both teams had to play in this certain conditions. Disposal efficiency, all those numbers are going to be down, but one team just did it better, and I think that +6, their +6 in disposal efficiency overall really tells the tale for the match. Again, we talk about bridging gaps in the statistical areas going into the game, and they're a team that only averages 1.3% disposal efficiency better across the season. So they have been slightly better across the season, but then in this match they were plus that 5.6% better. So those numbers might not seem like much, but when you get into a game and extrapolate it out across 4 quarters, that's what ultimately often makes a difference. And with those ground balls and they're once they get their hands on the ball and what they can do with it, and then ending up with 80 odd more disposals, and a lot of that happening within the guts of the ground in the midfield, that's what wins the game. We should mention Jordan Sweet will come up later, so maybe we don't have to talk about it too much. But we talked about it at times this year with his up and down form. It was a big thing we talked about going into this game. How does he look against Lloyd Meek? And after he maybe lost early, but grew into the game and ultimately kept on fighting it out right to the end. Yeah, I don't know what the ruck situation is going to be next year with a new coach, new game plan. But again, I'm not confident yet. But again, I think Jordan Sweet's at least going to be around for the next few years, and hopefully he keeps growing and can bring more confidence. And I'm quite happy that he had the performance he did. For him, again, we're looking at these last few games as a bit of a preseason, and he certainly had a nice preseason hit out. I guess I could put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he should watch this game before every game that comes before him.
Yeah.
Basically, that's. I mean, he took it to another level.
Mm.
From a personal point of view, that's close to that is where we would be hoping he would have been at for larger portions of this year when we're looking from the preseason. Unfortunately, the year hasn't worked out the way that he would have planned. But I've always had the opinion that he's our number one ruck, and performances like this should be starting to creep in. I mean, this was just a ridiculously good game. A ridiculously good game. I mean, his champion data rating has been well publicized now, and his super coach points and all of that shit just up through the wazoo. We did mention though that while Lloyd Meek is a presence, Sweet got the chocolates over him in gather round as well. So he had form in that matchup, and like you mentioned, I missed the first quarter, and there was a lot of opinions out there that Meek got the better of him in that quarter. I rewatched it earlier. I don't think he lost that first quarter by as much as what some people were making it out to be. But then when you consider that the next 3 quarters, he absolutely dominated the game in his own right, at disposals, clearances, grabbles, like our ruckman led our ground ball gets. So what does that say when we're talking
Yeah.
about the rest of the midfielders struggling to handle the ball?
Yeah.
Jordan Sweet had 10 ground ball gets. I mean, the hit outs and he beat Meek for hit outs to advantage as well, killed him in disposals, plus 10 contested possessions. Like, it's just ridiculous. And there's been slight, and to be honest, he's had a good 3 weeks, Jordan
Mm,
Sweet. Granted, as I think we've, or myself prefaced it every time we brought him up, but in the last couple of weeks, the opportunity has been there in a 1v1 situation. He hasn't come up against those behemoth ruckman, the all-Australian type caliber, but you just play what's in front of you. And he didn't just play what was in front of him this game, he absolutely fucking dominated. It's astounding to me that he had that in him. He even cashed in with a goal as well.
yeah,
And that's a blueprint. That's the blueprint. If you want to be the number one ruck, keep doing things like that. You don't even necessarily have to dominate a game like that. But what I thought he did well was he's obviously more athletic than Meek. So not only did he compete in the ruck situation, he took it upon himself to grab the ball and explode away
mm,
from, and like Meek's not chasing him. And that's what Sweet has in his kit bag is he has some level of athletic ability, which we commented on, particularly earlier in the season. We spoke about him aiming to get involved in handball chains and try and be another midfielder. And then he had his lull. He copped his whack. He got sent back to the Magpies. But can't really fault him since his return, in my opinion. And that performance just ices the cake. You're talking about what happens in the future. My hypothesis that the sub rule might be getting looked at looks to be more realistic now.
seems to be very much on the
And
cards that we're going to be
yeah,
five on the bench. I think.
and yes, yeah, well that's what I'd be advocating for.
Yeah,
And I don't know if I mentioned it on the main show or the Patreon shows recently that more often than not, coaches say they would be inclined to use a two ruck system if they had that
mm,
extra on the bench. So we all know kind of who our one and two is. Like
mm,
Viz is absolutely fantastic prospect. Sweet for me is the clear number one, and he needs to act like that more often.
yeah,
And regardless, we may find the benefit of having them both playing for us consistently next year. But it'll come down to who has more minutes in the hit out situation. And yeah, I'm really happy for Jordan Sweet because I don't think anyone expected that level of performance, and he just kept at it from go to woe.
yeah, yeah. No, couldn't agree more. I think we're all pretty pleased with it, and yeah, he gave us every opportunity to win that game by playing the game he did. It's just we didn't. Again, all those numbers around the ball and around the contest and around the stoppage and everything else is what ultimately led us down the path of not being able to win the game. Uh, the forward line. I mean, in a game as atrocious as it was conditions wise, we get 5 goals out of Jack Lukosius, Miss Georgiades, and Ollie Lord. We just don't get much.
Mm.
We just don't get much else. And we did probably touch on the fact that I think in the squad show we kind of talked about looking at our forward line and just going, it's suddenly not the forward line that we've seen all year that's given us some quiet confidence with the likes of Willie Rioli and Sam Powell-Pepper as kind of those
Yeah.
two kind of pillars down there as far as their points of difference they can provide in being, maybe Willie as the wizard and Sam Powell-Pepper as the barometer and having some wizard abilities as well. We're
Hmm.
just missing those two and some danger and points of danger down there in a game like that. I can imagine Willie Rioli at full flight would be relishing those kind of conditions and being able to kind of pull rabbits out of hats. And we just didn't have any of that. And ultimately it just meant that,
Well, no one's tackling Peps in those conditions.
yeah, yeah, oh
It's just
God.
whether he can keep his feet.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's bulldozer territory if he's playing. And
Mm,
I think we commented on that in the Patreon chat on Saturday, the game day thread. Like you kind of put these key people on each line that we're missing, and I feel that we win this game if we have some of those key players on each line, and
yeah.
if we have a full complement. I said to said to you guys that, like, I think we win this game fairly comfortably because while Hawthorn tightened the screws, I don't think the difference was that big until it inevitably unraveled, which I think is just a symptom of the personnel we had on the ground rather than most other factors.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the strange thing about it is I think a lot of the perception is, yeah, we did well to hang in there for 3.5 quarters. But yeah, they're a better side and they did end up winning by 38 points. But yeah, I kind of came out of it going like, if, and who cares about ifs? But yeah, I honestly believe that if we did have a couple of those players or at least one extra first choice player on each line, then that we're winning that game and winning it fairly comfortably if we have maybe a bit more than one on each line. But that's not to be.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, we didn't have Willie Rioli, we didn't have Peps, so it's up to those players that play. And we get another test case for the Lukosius and Georgiadis partnership, which they both kicked 2 goals, one. So I'd say it's another tick. From a progression point of view, just seeing what they look like together, they're clearly not getting in each other's way on a day that
Well,
it's easy to get in people's way.
the double goal at the start, you get Mitch gets out the back and
yeah.
it's so funny. The commentary on that Mitch goal right at the start was weird because they were like, "Oh, it's weird. Mitch went forward and like leading to the ball, but then as the ball comes in, you see him peel out and like he's taking his defender forward and he peels out the back and Cat watches the flight of the ball perfectly." So whether I was mishearing the commentary, but they're like, "Oh, Mitch's movement's weird," I was like, that's fucking perfect to me. Like he goes forward, peels, doubles back, takes the mark as the defender's out, like obviously kicks the goal from point blank range. And then, yeah, Jack Lukosius suckers Sicily into some kind of Damien Hardwick suckering Jason Ackermanis-esque stuff from no four. Like just
Or
Sicily.
Angus Momphreys in 2013, was it? Against Collingwood at the G?
Oh, and was that in the final?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elimination final. I think it was Heath Shaw,
Watching
perhaps.
that one. I was watching that one somewhere in America. It was in between. It was just before I started my senior year of college, so I was watching it deliriously late at night.
Yeah, it was a good
But
night.
yeah, same areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you have that happen. Like that's a perfect summation of what you're talking about. It's a part. It's not classic partnership stuff, but it's funny watching George kick that goal and then Lukosius suckers it in and kicks the goal, and suddenly we've got 2 goals out of the 2 forwards within.
Pow!
Yeah. Pow! Pow!
Are you saying pow? I gotta say, yeah. I mean, yeah. Credit to them. Yeah, like promising. I don't think since Lukosius has come back in, I don't think there's been anything to suggest negative. Nah, that's just word salad a little bit. There's nothing that they've shown that suggests that partnership will be a detriment to our side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's still not the best way to put it, but I'd say since he's come back into the side, Mitch's game hasn't it hasn't been the detriment of his game. His game hasn't suffered because Jack Lukosius is back in. If anything, I think they've worked well together.
I think Mitch has been
again a
his
hard
shots
game
on
to
goal.
judge, but sorry.
Like to your point about, sorry, I was getting, but like you were saying, like he's been getting his opportunities almost better than he has at any point this year, and it's just like as I think we were talking about last week, like you were saying, there's a Coleman to win. Like he could have been a lot closer in the Coleman race if he kicked a bit straighter last.
Goals, bitch. Yeah.
This week was a tough one, and getting 2 goals, 1 out of game as such as it was, with limited entries and the poor effort of entries that they were at times, I think is. Yeah, Mitch has done well. One of them being from point blank range. The other one, a very nice open play goal in the last quarter, which then was when Dwayne gave his little, there's 8:37 to go, trying to putting some sauce on a game that was dead in my view. But yeah, I mean, Ollie Lord's goal was a fucking really nice goal. We've lamented more than any of our key forward stocks. We've probably lamented Ollie Lord kicking at times yeah, bent that one in perfectly. So like that they did well. Like Ollie Lord didn't have a whole
I,
lot
s-
of ball,
yeah, I
but
still think it was an error. A, picking Lord,
yeah,
but then B, keeping him on for the full game. And that's nothing against him
mm.
at all. And like you said, that was it was a mark and then goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
If I
was a nice
remember correctly.
Butters kick from the wing that actually just
Mm,
and yeah, he led into that pocket, took it on the chest. Which I think I said in the Patreon chat. I was like, it's really nice to see Lord like get a lead into space and take one on the chest and
yeah,
yeah,
present. Yeah,
handle
yeah.
it.
Get the
Yeah,
chest out, Ollie. We
yeah,
want more of that. But yeah, in a game that was always going to unfold from a weather perspective, like it did, it just seemed negligent to keep a third tool forward on, particularly when he wasn't offering second ruck duties.
yeah. Ollie was.
Like Ollie Wines was taking second. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know what the thought process was behind that because I don't think we were ever really going to be. And who knows if Dylan Williams comes on at say half time, which is probably a realistic in those conditions time to bring on a tactical sub, you're probably not going to do it at quarter time or
Yeah,
halfway through the second quarter. But even at halftime, I think it would have been a good opportunity to bring Williams on. But they just didn't. They sat on it, and I don't. Yeah, are
particularly
we winning the
knowing that.
game if Dill gets on earlier? Are we winning the game if Ollie Lord doesn't get selected at all when they go for a
Mm,
smaller option on the team list? I don't know. I just feel it was a bit of a negligent call on a couple of regards. It's like, okay, you pick him because the first quarter was it was windy, but it wasn't pissing down until the latter stages of that first quarter. But you see
yeah,
what he can do in the conditions, potentially second ruck. But just none of that happened. So why is he there?
yeah. And these
I don't
conditions were
understand that.
very, very much forecast as well. Like shout out to Simon on Patreon, who said that he was listening to our show last week and packed some extra wet weather gear due to listening to our weather forecast. So yeah, and shout out Simon and thank you for listening as always. Yeah, I mean these conditions were obvious. We knew the kind of game it was going to be, and it was obvious in the lead in, like watching the pre-game. It was just windy and howling, and we just knew what kind of game it was going to be. So yeah, and then your point about the halftime sub, like because we knew once the coin toss was decided, it was that we had the wind in the first and third quarters. So you know, if you're going to try and make a run at the game, it was going to need to happen in the third quarter. So it's yeah, bring Dylan Williams on to
Mm.
basically play the last quarter in a game that was going to just be really, really tough conditions. Like,
Peter
yeah,
out.
you still hope that, but once the third quarter had gone by and we hadn't been able to take advantage, it was more likely than not, which is a fascinating thing just as a fan for me, just thinking about the game in that way, like just having such a wind advantage and then
Mm.
obviously a wind advantage plus the fact that, just that the lists on paper are that Hawthorn are the better team on paper going into the game, while we still think we had a team that could win the game when you're seeing the way the games were going, when they just were so good at setting up behind the ball when they were against the wind, and they still found their chances going forward. And then we just didn't
Hmm.
set up as well. But yeah, fascinating stuff. I hate that my team was on the back end of it, but I just found it interesting. I guess it's a real game for the purists because as a AFL fan, I actually found it quite interesting to watch. I don't want to go back and watch the replay again, really, but like in the just I found it a fascinating thing to watch a game like that. And everyone in the commentary is like going, "Oh, this is why you need a roof." And while I get it, I was just also like, "This is funny." Like this is kind of I think someone on Twitter actually kind of probably mostly jokingly, but maybe a modicum of like maybe like was just like. I think a Tassie team should advocate for an outdoor stadium because no one's going to have a home field advantage like this. So,
Yeah. It's like the argument for a Northern Territory based side. It's like the tropics is a benefit. It's a home ground advantage.
yeah,
You're just slippery and cake of soap type stuff. And yeah,
like
I
Tom Brady in Foxborough, baby. He knew how to play cold weather football. He didn't like going out of Miami much, but like
yeah, I acknowledge, yeah, the sentiments, yeah, in down south, but yeah, like Come on, they need an edge. Yeah, and I think I saw someone write, well, it's nice and dry in Hobart right now, and I didn't actually check if that was true or not.
Yeah.
But if it was true, yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Because yeah, we keep getting that feedback after games are being played in Launceston, where the stadium is going to be built in Hobart,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
it's kind of a null and void argument a little bit.
Yeah. Surprise to most people out there, maybe, but Tasmania is a decent, like, while it is a smaller state by comparison to most, there is a north and a south, and there's different conditions to both. So, yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Do you have anything else to say before? I mean, there's not much else to say, really. Like, it really was a story of the tools did the best they could, and we just didn't have enough horses around, the dynamism around them for me. Like, we just couldn't get. Darcy Byrne-Jones can't get into the game as much because, like, I think he likes work. I think he likes working with some of those other guys. Like, he has a good like when he knows even if it's Jason Horn, we haven't even spoken of, like, the object of Jason Horne-Francis could have been such a good swingman in these conditions, both obviously around the contest, but going forward as well. I mean, he broke the game open against West Coast with busting through forward 50 stoppages, and I think Darcy Byrne-Jones works when he's got confidence in the ones he's working around in the half forward and into the 50, like, whether it be POWELL-PEPPERs, the Willie Riolis. Again, the conditions aren't as good for him to use his elite entry going inside 50 that it has been this year. But we just didn't have much to work with beyond, having some decent tools down there who did what they could.
No.
I just don't think there was much else to do down there, and that's kind of the tale of the tape.
No, yeah, after we give DBJ a huge pump up last week, yeah, he has a down game, and Joe Richards pressured hard all game, but yeah, he couldn't get any
10 tackles
looks
for Joe
at it
Richards,
either.
who was only second behind Bergman. So yeah,
Exactly. And I don't know if it's an indictment on us, like in a wet weather game, that the tall forwards were the one, and I mean, and Jordan Sweet, the ones kicking goals apart from Will Lorenz. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you think wet weather game, you think small forwards deluxe, but yeah, so I don't know what to take out of that. It's just, yeah, topsy-turvy land, I guess.
Yeah, and even like we don't have like there's not like there's any small that had like a massive bevy of behinds. Like, Butters misses one from a decent distance after, a nice moment. But like there's not like there was anyone, just one of those games we just we didn't give ourselves enough opportunity ultimately when we had the advantage of the wind. And that's amongst all the other reasons we mentioned, part of why we lost. So
Sorry to cut in. Was it Joe Richards that did he have a kick late and then it just didn't register because he got caught in the wind and basically just blew across the face?
maybe.
Was that him right at the end? I don't know. It
Could be. I
doesn't
might have
matter.
been.
But
I as the Patreon chat was being updated, I was drinking the nice, tasty, and hefty beers for
Delicious.
each quarter, and by the end of it, I probably was feeling the 8% 500ml can of Pirate Life and some other fucking thing, and I haven't watched the last 5 minutes of the game since then. So,
Fair.
yeah. Oh man. I guess I'm ready to get into the segments in a moment. Would like to mention, I mean, I didn't get too much Dwayneisms out of the game because I haven't rewatched it to catch too much. We did talk off air, and I did mention it in the I think probably on Twitter, and really liked that he did the call like a Blade Runner reference for us in there, which
That's going on the mood board.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Which as a huge Blade Runner fan, I know you're a fan of it too. Like just and one of the great moments in film, Rutger Hauer's "Tears in the Rain" monologue at the end of the original Blade Runner was, I think Dwayne hit it about towards the end of the third quarter. Just Port Adelaide's hopes this season, going like "Tears in the Rain" or something. He kind of paraphrased it a little bit. No, there was no like
ships.
Yeah, starships on fire.
I wish it tracked it on the soundboard. It'd be good to just input it right now.
It would, yeah.
Quite.
If I'd, but yeah, I've worked every day since the game, so I haven't had too much time. But I would have loved to have done that. I might end up there still soon. But great Dwayne. He did also beyond. He did. I think Dylan Moore kicked a goal, and he said "Morsel for more," and I was just like, Dwayne.
Shut up. Yeah, that's one. It's just like you've written that one down. That's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's in his mood board for every Hawthorn game. Get this one,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was very appreciative of him hitting a Blade Runner reference, which kind of fit my mood for the day because I was about to nod my head down like Rutger Hauer's android did in that movie as he passed away, as our season's hopes passed away in that moment as well. Yeah, I guess, are we ready to get into the segments?
Yeah, the statute of limitations is definitely up on the original Blade Runner. So yeah, let's get into segments.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, after I've already ruined it for you. Yeah, 40 years old, guys. Get into it. All right, get into it. Let's get into the segments.
Down, Gray doing brilliantly, getting through to Monfries. That's Grady's best.
Wilson kicks hard and kicks cruelly.
Oh, what I would have given for Robbie Gray in a game like this. Wilson Gray Award. Last week's winner. I did well last week with my nominations. Jason HORNE-FRANCIS Corridor. The Corridor of Chaos, as I called it in the votes last week.
Yeah, I saw that in the voting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks for everyone that's voted. Good choices. I saw that. That was good.
87% of the vote last week. It was a hefty amount of votes last week, which is good. So I appreciate you guys, as always, for voting. And if you're listening, once again, welcome to any new listeners. Wilson Gray Award is just an award for efforts on the field outside of goal-scoring efforts, because we are getting to goal of the week in a moment. And we're just obviously named after a couple of players that exemplified both some defensive solidarity as well as a little bit of wizardry in Michael Wilson and Robbie Gray. So, yeah, the Wilson Gray Award nomination last week, Jason HORNE-FRANCIS Corridor Chaos with 87% of the vote. I'm going first this week. It was a game for the purists, as we said, but a moment that I keyed in on, and I think most probably did. Zach Butters courageously going back with the flight a couple of minutes into the third quarter, taking a mark. As I said, it was back with the flight. I can't remember who did the clearing kick for Hawthorn, but Butters went back with the flight and actually copped a little bit of a ear tickler from Kausha Deer, I think it was, as he took the mark and went to the ground with it. A real brave effort from Zach Butters going back with the flight to take that mark. So that's my nomination.
D'Ambrosio, it's wide. Deer will get up there. That's a brilliant mark against the grain, and he's almost been knocked out. Zach Butters, unbelievable.
So gets up. He's just a
contest. Yep, well done. Well done.
This one here, I'm sitting in line with this inside left post. Home sweet home.
Unfortunately, missed the goal in the ensuing part, which obviously wouldn't have been part of the nomination, but still very much deserves the credit.
Would have been nice.
There would have been. Didn't miss by much, and it definitely kind of like it got held up in the wind and just dropped left of the post. Like, it's just, it was a very, very good shot considering the conditions. Just missed by the shortest of margins.
Yeah, no, that's the obvious choice. I would have thought. So I'm at a bit of a hiding to nothing, but I just want to congratulate Jackson Mead saving what could have been a goal of the year on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, he clearly touched it. While the commentators were willing it to be a goal before the review. Nominate Jackson Mead, who quite honestly did not do a whole heck of a lot apart from that for the match, it must be said.
Mm-hmm.
Credit to him for sticking with it and getting a hand on Jack Gunston's miracle shot from the boundary to ensure it was a rush behind.
Yeah.
Over the back, a slip from Gunston, still a chance. He's kicked miracle goal. Best of them. That's one for all time.
If that's in, that could be the goal of his career.
I reckon it did.
Touch behind. Please check the ball. Hey, touch.
Oh,
no!
Review complete. Looking at this angle, we can see the ball is touched before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on the
Look where
scoreboard.
Gunston is. He's in the gutter.
And at that point, it kept it to, I think, a 13-point lead at that point. So we were still in, I think, 10, 12 minutes to go. We were still objectively in the game, subjectively maybe not.
Yeah, just ask Dwayne.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne a few minutes later was still got a chance. So yeah. Oh, he likes to put some sauce into it. We love Dwayne. So
I reckon he likes the movie Dumb and Dumber as well.
Oh, he'd absolutely have that one as like a rewatchable for Dwayne. I reckon he's he's.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm surprised that didn't come out. Like considering
Me too. Now, like thinking about it and talking.
Considering
about
the prospects for our season were at stake, like the 0.5% thing, as well as just the game itself. Like there was layers to using that phrase in there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we have high expectations of Dwayne now after posting on his Dwayneisms.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, I'm a bit disappointed that he didn't get more out of that. But I think maybe he got distracted by Dermot Brereton talking about raindrops on the football and the physics of that. There was at one point, and I can't remember who one of the color guys was just like, I'm just still thinking about Dwayne's raindrops theory, and Dwayne's just like, yeah, if it goes through the air and it goes at like there was one shot at the Zach Butters shot at goal, like Dwayne. I can't remember who said, is that something to do with
was it Ben Dixon? Was he the boundary rider?
That's right, it was Ben Dixon. I reckon it was, and he said something like, that was the raindrops, wasn't it, Dwayne? And Dwayne was like, yeah, no. If it was less rain, it would have had more of a chance to move in the air. And I was just like, I need to see the science behind this now. I think it's ridiculous, but I mean, I understand there's every condition changes, but I'm just like, Dwayne's just like, no, it's raindrops on the football. I'm just like, okay, Dwayne. I think it's just that it got held up in the breeze.
Dwayne.
Yeah, I think that
Derm.
yeah, Dwayne Derm, whoever the fuck it was.
It was just a bit boys club. Just like it's just pub talk, but it's professional commentary.
Exactly.
They're just at the front bar of their local footy club, just like, I think it's raindrops. Yeah. It's, okay, we've got a professional game of football here to commentate. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, thank fuck like Sam Newman and Wayne Carey aren't in the commentary, because then we'd start hearing about it's the chemtrails, and it's like, oh no, don't do it. Oh, anyway, let's.
Fuck, how did we get here?
Oh, let's do goal of the week and get away from that.
Humphreys has kicked a goal. Unbelievable. Haven't seen anything like that. It's gone at right angle.
Flashpoint. Stevie Modloff. What a time! Oh! He is floating on air now.
You just, I don't know if YouTube viewers would have seen it, because I think the camera cuts to me when the sound effects are playing. You just did the goals signal, and I just thought we should shout out right now David Roden, who's going to be taking part with his umpiring career and his playing career, taking part in his 300th game of AFL football with his goal umpiring. So, and we all love David Roden. Obviously, loved him as a player. Incredible career as a player. An excitable career. And his post-AFL career has been one of the more interesting careers, with, whether it be Dancing with the Stars and all that stuff, or the fact he's one of the most beloved, one of the few beloved officials in AFL,
absolutely.
Universally beloved. I know goal umpires have got a little bit less standards of, the amount of heat that can come on them, but still he is quite universally beloved. And we obviously love David Roden as a former Port Adelaide player that gave us many moments of excitement. But shout out to him for continuing just to be involved in the game, which seems to be just out of pure love for it, which is great. So, shout out to him, and thank you for that. Not a deliberate reminder, but just you doing that action just made me think of it. So, and perfect time to bring it up in the goal of the week, because he's certainly given a few signals for us in his post Port Adelaide career. Last week's winner for the nomination was again one of mine. It was the week of Jason HORNE-FRANCIS. And his nutmeg for the goal, one of his last quarter goals against West Coast, won with 71% of the vote. A few people did get around. You nominated his other one.
I was going to say thank you for the pity votes.
I did get a message, a reply, and again from Simon from Patreon. So again, shout out Simon for the second time this episode. He did reply and said he voted for the Harley Reid, the nomination of burning Harley Reid, because he's like, he loved the celebration post, giving it to Harley after.
Oh, pure entertainment.
So there's a lot of factors that go into people's reasonings, and I love it, because that was very much a consideration for me, was the fact he gave it to Harley Reid afterwards. So certainly love it.
And we won't see JHF for the rest of the year.
I know he went out with a bang with his with his nominations last week. You get to go first in the goal of the week this week, so a few decent ones considering the low scoring nature of it.
Yes. I'm going to go with Will Loren's outswinger for his debut AFL goal. Just put the calculations through the computer, and it said to kick it there so that it swings in there. Very specific, non-specific, but we all know what I'm talking about. So run the tape.
Second grab is good. Richards, who has been a goal kicker, pops it over the top, and nicely grabbed by Will Loren to yet to kick himself an AFL goal. So a big moment coming up for him.
Yeah, he should be right. You just got to not overkick it.
Or overthink it, maybe. Never kicked a goal before, and he gets it there! His first goal in AFL footy. Had a bit of design to it too. It was a beautiful watch.
Far off Lukosius there on that hit up. Just to add a little bit of spice down here, boys, the rain has started to fall.
Oh, no, beautiful nomination. Yeah, that was top of my list as well, and I thought you'd probably go there and absolutely warranted. Yeah, an incredible goal, and like as I touched on earlier in the game, an incredible feat of goal kicking that we managed to work the conditions, like as you said, put it in the computer to send it there, and yeah, just incredible stuff. In a similar vein, probably a little bit more elementary maybe, but with the distance from goal, I think it's still a fair bit of degree of difficulty. And I'll give an honourable mention to Ollie Lords. I think Ollie Lords' goal was almost as impressive as Will Lorenz's, I think. But with Jordan Sweets coming from pretty much outside 50 and being a ruckman, dealing with those conditions, I think Jordan Sweets' goal is my nomination.
Only 2 goals this year, 8 for his career, Jordan Sweet. This game, 42.
It's been a really solid fight back since quarter time by Jordan Sweet.
He's got the breeze behind him. Launches it, holds its line, and he hit it. Sweet. Did Jordan Sweet.
Just a great set shot. Jordan Sweet's shown at times some great set shot ability. At times he's missed a few that I think he could get, but overall I'm pretty reasonably happy with Jordan Sweet's goal kicking. But I think on a day like this, any set shot at goal from any modicum of distance was, just exemplary degree of difficulty. And I think Jordan,
yeah, like 1.3 times on the multiplier or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't know how. 1.5 times.
I just imagine that Jordan Sweet at 50 meters out with the man on the mark is about 48 meters out of the, I reckon, when I was watching it back.
Yeah.
And I think when you're that far out in those windy conditions, you're doing like it's a Zach Galifianakis fucking hangover like equation just going through your mind. You're like, if I
counting cards.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, no, if I kick it there and the wind's coming from this way, and then there's like 50 raindrops coming from this way because somehow Jordan Sweet's aware of like Derm's fucking shit.
And how many raindrops are on the football?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot to fucking think about. What's I'm trying to think of.
I'm sure, in all honesty, though, I'm sure Jordan Sweet was like, kick it as hard as you can that way.
Yeah. Aim at the left post.
See what happens.
Yeah. I was just thinking of like Kevin Costner and Bull Durham when the coach comes out of the box and just like talks to him, and they're like, oh, this guy needs a chicken to take the curse off his bat and this, and then he looks at the coach and he's like, we're dealing with a lot of shit here. I'm like, that's sweet. Lining up for goal with Derm's stuff going in his head, and anyway, I thought it was a great set. It was a great shot from Sweet, and I feel like to your point as well, the fact that 6 of our 7 goals come from either forwards or the ruckman playing a forward role in that moment.
Yeah, tools.
Pretty excellent.
Well, that was my
incredible.
That was my second option. So, glad you selected that.
Yeah. No, a couple of decent ones considering it was a shit house game. So, I love that. Let's get into the Player of the Year votes. I fucking can't wait to hear these guys because this was difficult.
Now it's time for the CREEDCAST Player of the Year voting.
I think now that I think about it, speaking of chickens and curses, I think maybe my voice over there cursed this season. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just going to get right into it. I don't know if there's honourable mentions. I don't even know if some of the people that are in my votes deserve to be there, to be honest. Not trying to be mean. It's just one of those games.
Yeah.
I gave my one vote, and you did mention earlier that his end of the game didn't finish well, but I gave my one vote to Brandon Zerk-Thatcher. I just thought for a defender's game, and I'm still rethinking again. I don't think that this is a game that you could have just given out a couple of votes and said no one else deserves them, more or less, in the best players. But he did have 14 disposals. He had 11 1-percenters, 11 intercepts. He had the 7 ground ball gets, which was fairly high up there as well. Considering it was a game that a lot of smalls were struggling to get down and get the ball at ground level, I thought he applied himself well. I think a few of those one percenters might be counted as some of those ones where he double fisted, where he should have taken a mark. So it's just like, maybe there should be 0.5 percenters, maybe, but count as half a 1 percenter or whatever you want to do with your stats. But I put him in there. I thought, like, it was a tough game for defenders. I almost thought it was Aaliyah or Zerk-Thatcher. I was bouncing between both, and I was just like, Zerk-Thatcher's, come back into the season and done reasonably. And certainly his 10 1-percenters versus Aaliyah, who had 3, and then Aaliyah probably had a bit more of the game going forward and a bit better disposal efficiency. So I very much easily could have given it to Aaliyah, but I just picked Zerk-Thatcher, and not even sure if it's the right decision, but I went there. So that's what I did. With my 2 votes, giving it to Zach Butters. I think I almost didn't even put him in there, but I thought he had I would have loved it. He had to deal with the tag. He dealt with it as best as he could on a day where he didn't have too many others, missing a few of his compatriots that he would have usually liked in there. He had the 11 contested possessions. He went at 55% disposal efficiency, which on that day was right up there with the team. The 5 tackles, 4 inside 50s. He had the 6 intercepts, 5 score involvements, 6 clearances. It's not the numbers we wanted to see from Zach Butters, but I wasn't sure who else to throw in there, to be honest. So he went in there. Ollie Wines with 3 votes. This is where I start getting into the players that I actually want to be the best player. These next three are the ones that I think applied themselves well on the day, considering the conditions. Ollie Wines, 26 disposals, 12 contested, 53.8% disposal efficiency, which, again, for Ollie Wines, who historically has been not the best user of the ball, but been pretty good over the last few years. All those numbers, again, they're right up there with what we were doing. He had the 4 score involvements, but I think most importantly, he had to take a role in the ruck as well. He had a couple of hit outs. I think there was one. There's one I remember. I can't actually really remember it now, but I just remember at one point going, "That was a nice hit out." He's not meant to. He's not a ruckman, so like for him to have one that kind of like sticks in my mind for a moment, I thought was reasonable. And again, would have liked more out of like the Wines and Butters partnership, but then. CBAs, I think Drew and Bergman had the most CBAs anyway. So like Wines and Butters were used a little bit more sparingly in that aspect of it. I'm actually just going to get that up there.
I think that might have been a tactic to try and shake the tag on Butters' behalf.
But Wines only actually was at 39% of, so he was more around the stoppage work anyway. So, and then obviously around the ground hit outs. So
did we like that?
I think in this game, I would have liked Wines in there more, like with the ones
in the center when it's just 4v4, including the ruckman. Yeah,
I would have maybe, because Drew was at 96%. I would have probably maybe liked Wines to take a bit more of that share. Incredible numbers that they.
Just don't, because obviously Drew is being used as a negating factor.
Yeah,
but just. Even up the percentages and just drop the tag for those a couple more moments, but and see if you can win it first and foremost.
Wines might have been better around those ground ball stuff afterwards because Drew. Anyway, I liked Wines for 3 votes. Given Kane Farrell the 4 votes, I thought 25 disposals at 76% in this game. Obviously, the disposal efficiency is a big number in this one, and he had that many disposals and used it very, very well, considering the conditions. He had a massive 805 metres gained, which not enough of our players were taking grass when they could, but he did. He had the 11 intercepts, 5 inside 50s. He had the 7 rebound 50s. He even got chipped in with a centre clearance and a couple of stoppage clearances as well. He had the 8 ground ball gets, which was second best for us, I think, on the day, or third best, I think it was. Now I moved I was looking at Senate CBAs, and he was just behind Drew. Drew was on 8, and then Jace Berg on a 9 as well, as you mentioned earlier, actually. So, but I thought Kane Farrell, as you mentioned earlier, his last couple of weeks, he's been getting back to some of his best and kind of taking on some of that Who Danston role that we've been talking about. So, incredible stuff from him.
Ted Danson, did you say?
I said who Danston is I'm referring to it as now. Who Danston?
Who let the Dan out?
Collingwood aren't at the moment. My 5 votes, obviously, pretty clear. Jordan Sweet. We've mentioned a lot of his stats already, but the 42 hitouts, almost 20% of those. It was 18.6 to advantage. 10 clearances, 7 tackles, 20 pressure acts. The goal, 6-1% as the 10 ground ball gets, which, as you mentioned earlier, led the team. We've already pretty much talked about his game, so I won't say anything more. I'll let you get into your votes. Really, really pleased with Jordan Sweet's game, and very, very, it's one of those games where you would have liked. I mean, when your ruckman's getting best on, it can often be a win, but sometimes you would like to. When it's Jordan Sweet 1, Farrell 2, it isn't the best sign for how the rest of the game went for the midfielders. But
a rare BOG for Jordan Sweet. Which, look, that a ruckman can be best on ground. We're seeing the re-emergence of Brodie Grundy and the like. This
Luke
culmination of
games,
events. So, but considering the circumstances and the form that Sweet has been in for the greater part of the year, it is quite the anomaly. For sure. But enjoy your votes. Nothing more to be said on your behalf.
No, I'm still not happy with him, really, to be honest, apart from the top.
Well.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some. Just wanted to give an honourable mention to Miles Bergman and Joe Richards, just for their tireless efforts in the pressure stakes, up there in tackles and pressure acts alike for the both of them. Just off the charts kind of stuff too. So it's like you're not really getting your game working in the regard that you probably want it to, or everyone expects you to, but they're not giving
Bergman
up.
at 25% disposal efficiency with not getting much of the ball, I guess, is part of that. But it's also like just not Bergman numbers.
Just some weird areas from a statistical point of view, for sure. But I've actually given my 1 vote to Jack Lukosius.
I like that.
Purely for the fact that as a forward, he did come up the ground as that kind of centre half forward role. He had 87% time on ground, 14 disposals, 8 of which were contested. He had 4 ground ball gets for a total, 210 metres gain, 4 marks, 1 of which was contested. That was actually a nice contested mark, actually. Had to hold off his defender. 2 goals, 1. He had 1 score launch, all in his 5 score involvements, 3 inside 50s, like I mentioned, 14 pressure acts, half of which were also in the defensive half too. So really working up and down, 6 tackles for himself too. So he actually ended up in our top 5 champion data rated players. Just another sign, and what that conversation before about the Lukosius Georgiadis partnership that we can look forward to now. I think, there's a little bit there. Really, that's kind of what we're trying to get out of the rest of the season now. It's, watching how that works and just some other portions of our makeup. So I don't think he put a foot wrong, really. And like you mentioned, in a game where there's not really many people to give votes out to, I thought, to balance out your Zerk Thatcher, who I don't disagree with any of your sentiments, equally on the other end of the field, I thought Lukosius was deserving of 1. And to make it really easy, all of my votes are the same to continue. Butters at 2, Wines at 3, Farrell at 4, and Sweet at 5 for all the reasons that you mentioned. Zach didn't have, the 40 plus against Melbourne Demons in 2021, was it? 2023, whatever it was, when that huge breakout game in the pissing rain at Adelaide Oval. He got well held, but at no point did he stop trying.
I was in the US for that one. I was watching it over there.
Yeah. You're right. You're actually right. Yep. Yeah.
So there was
and
the
then
one
the
that
other
Brody
one.
Grundy shushed him, wasn't it? With like,
Really early. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
when he was in a Melbourne jumper, Brody Grundy. Yeah, shush. Bit of a shush theme that year. And then but early shush to go on to lose. There was quite a few instances of that in 2023. So
yeah,
and that was
you got to be
that was
careful.
one of them, Brody.
You got to be careful with the shush, and I think it was a minute 19 left in the because I put up a picture that day because it was like there's a screenshot.
Yeah,
and I was
is
just
the
like,
curse lifted?
Is the curse lifted? Narrator? No, it was not.
Port went on to go out in straight sets in the finals
Exactly.
that year.
Was the curse lifted? No, it was just made even worse. It can get worse, and it will. Yeah, no lucky votes. I like Luko getting in there too. To your point, like before we go, just wrap up, the pressure act numbers, the getting up the ground, some of the tackles, even just getting involved with Sicily and getting Sicily to throw him to the ground. I'm like, goes against some of the brain rot chat that you've got from some opposition fans, particularly in this city, who as soon as Luko went to Port went, oh, we never wanted him anyway. He's a lazy piece.
We never wanted him. Yeah.
Did you see that he was playing? Did you see that he was playing twos? And it's like there's mitigating factors involved in that.
Yeah, omitting a lot of facts with that sentiment.
Oh yeah. No, it's very, very, as I said, very brain rot. So yeah, no, there's some of the things that he's doing that go against. Not that we say it's go against type, but maybe some misplaced popular opinion about Luko. And so, yeah, no, I absolutely agree with his sentiments. It was a very, very good pick to have him in there. He was in consideration at one point for me as well. Both looking at both forwards, it was just like they both played their role as best they possibly could, which is, as you and I talk about a lot, it's what we kind of bring up about how we do our vote sometimes is how they play their role versus the raw stats.
Yeah, absolutely. We do genuinely make a concerted effort to view people within their particular role, like you just said. That's a good point. But just as an extension of that, while we round off this portion of the episode with Lukosius is in regards to Georgiadis, we always joke, we say it in a joking fashion, but it's somewhat honest. We always expect the 4 shots on goal from George. At the point in his career and the form that he's in, a turgid game like this, he still had the 3. You can't expect a lot, but we expect the 4 shots on goal. And I think the thing with Lukosius is so what was it, West Coast last week? I don't think he got a goal, but he still had the 2 shots on goal that just shaved either left or right of the post to going for behinds. But I think that's another element since he's come back in, like in the Brisbane game, shots on goal, kick goals. West Coast game, had shots on goal. This game, he's had shots on. So he's presenting as a attacking option. He's not, and on the flip side, it's what people are still lamenting about Ollie Lord is, and even broader in the AFL. You watch teams play football, you see tall forwards, and for whatever reason, they just seem to be going missing for games or stretches of games or whatnot. I think the thing that is promising to me is George hasn't suffered. It's probably, again, the word salad I was trying to get out earlier. I couldn't put two words together, so I apologize for that. George isn't suffering as a result. He's getting shots on goal, but Luko is also getting his shots on goal, and that it doesn't happen out of nowhere. He's obviously doing a few things right in conjunction with our other forwards. So just came to mind while we were talking there, and just wanted to bring that up. And it does offer some promise moving forward for the system that we want to implement. We're going to have to implement Todd Marshall into that and then see how that works again next year. But for the time being, I think there's some good signs in that partnership.
Yeah. Considering he's come back from a long-term injury and hadn't, interrupted start to his Port Adelaide career and not the start he would have wanted, he's come in with the right attitude since that. He's just come in and worked and not tried to make. There's no me stuff about it. Considering he's a high-profile recruit, whatever, kind of Rosie's best mate, whatever you want to. He's just come in and worked and played his role and not tried to, he's been in addition to George rather than taking away from anything George is doing, which is what we hoped for, and it's been promising so far, considering how the season has petered out as he's come back. He's certainly not been a negative to it. It's just like there's other factors that have unfortunately been a part of that. Let's look forward to, obviously, we're going to do a squad show this week, and being a showdown one, I'm sure it'll be a big one as per usual, because we'll just talk about how much we hate the Crows for a little bit, maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
We can't help ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Sign up for Patreon and patreon.com/CREEDCAST and listen to it on Friday morning.
The hate feed.
Yeah, the hate feed. Yeah, there will be this week. But yes, we do face the Crows in the away showdown this Saturday evening, 7:40 p.m. Kick locally, which is just is quite the late start. But that's what we've got, which I find odd, to be honest. But whether it's fitting in with TV over, I don't know what they're doing.
Scheduling oddities.
Yeah.
Never. Who would have thought?
Not the AFL.
Not Lenny.
It's the last guy. That's like the second one you've hit in the last couple of weeks, I reckon. It's looking like it's weather could be interesting again. So I'll do my weather report again. Obviously, for those living locally, Friday's looking like an absolute shit show, weather-wise, 15 to 30 mil. At Legion's Saturday, obviously, which is game day, 4 to 20 mil, 95% chance, and then it peters out on Sunday. So weather Saturday night, how weather systems move, whether they come through sooner or later, we're going to have some degree of either conditions, whether the game's actually okay. I don't think it will be. I think there'll be a bit of rain around, but there'll be so much rain around leading up to it that the ground's going to be quite damp and heavy underfoot, I'm sure.
So is that going to even the stakes again?
Let's hope so. I mean, one of the main factors with Adelaide is their tall forward line. I'm sure we'll get into lines on Thursday's show. We won't get into it too much, but yeah, to your point, maybe we need all the help we can get. Because injury lists for both teams are not very even. I think they've had Mitch Hinge got a bit of a hit pointer in their big win over the Gold Coast on the weekend, so he's a test. Jordan Butts and Josh Riccelli are obviously out and don't even have a timeline for a return yet. I know they're a bit more hopeful than Riccelli, but Butts having spent 6 days in hospital since that game against
and had to drive home.
Did he have to drive home? Did he? Yeah.
Oh, someone had to drive him home.
Yeah.
I think one of the assistant coaches or something like that.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah, I guess at least it was Melbourne to Adelaide, not like Brisbane to Adelaide or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all they had a Sandful player do a hemi on the weekend. Oscar Ryan, Tyler Welsh is not bad at that's their injury list. That's everyone. Whereas we probably the only major change from our injury list over the last few weeks is Connor Rosie as a test, which it's a hand injury. I know there's already a few people on Twitter being like, be careful with Rosie. We saw what happened last time. It's apples and oranges. This is a hand injury versus a hamstring. So, yes, I understand the sentiments, but I assume, I don't know, was it dislocated finger? I still don't actually know exactly what the injury was. I don't know if I've read into it.
I was under the impression that's what it was.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Severe dislocation.
I'm not 100% sure if it got upgraded, downgraded, side graded, but that's what I
want to know what a side grade is, but now.
A sidebar?
Sidebar. Objection. Yeah, that's really the only chance and change that we could possibly make. That is a major boost. We obviously have whatever other changes we could do. HORNE-FRANCIS timeline is 6 weeks, so why don't you just put season there, guys?
Yeah, look, and I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but Jack Whitlock probably won't get picked.
Yeah,
he obviously had a breakout SANFL game, and I absolutely love that for him.
Bubbling along nicely this year. I've enjoyed. I've played the 2 or 3 games this year and enjoyed what he's done. But
really happy with his future prospects in a Port Adelaide jumper. But one breakout game, I know Dylan Williams just got picked from his one breakout game this season. Not really a breakout.
But he's
game.
also been in the system for 6 years, so there's
100%. Yeah. So look. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. Because the thing is, we do actually have some people with AFL experience or on the precipice with a bit of form behind them at the SANFL level. It's just whether they can actually make an impact at AFL level to warrant a selection, make an impact in this game in particular. I'm just not 100% sure. I haven't actually watched the Maggies for a little bit this year, unfortunately. But the numbers on paper look pretty good. We're actually there and thereabouts at the top five. I think if we get on a late roll, we might be looking for one of the last spots. Not really expecting it, but that's just a sidebar. But the fact of the matter is, yes, we got the captain likely to come back, but there may be another one or two surprises in the mix as well.
yeah, Ryan Burton's just quietly gone out to. I don't know if he's done anything. I thought he was like a test a week ago, and now
He's a worry.
3 to 5 weeks.
He's an absolute worry.
Yeah, well, he's not like 3 to 5 weeks with a knee. Highly unlikely to feature again this year. When I look at that and think about the season that's left to go, and then that's his future prospects starting to become with list management and list profile changes, and the fact that he's on the getting up there in the senior year. I still think he's a good somewhere, and there's a degree of good player in him. It's just like my confidence has waned over the last 18 months as to where that player is. But yeah, as far as this week goes, and yeah, I mean, Finlay, I know some people have facetiously said like, oh, Whitlock had a good game, Finlayson will probably play. Finlayson's probably last great game at the AFL level was the showdown.
Yes.
If you can bring that,
I think he's kicked 9 goals in the last couple of weeks, or 9 goals in the last 3 weeks.
I think he's applying himself reasonably well at the Sanford level.
10, yeah.
The games I've been to, he's clearly one of the better players on the field, even though he looks like some people would say he doesn't want to be out there. I just think he has a lax days, like similar to some other players that I've liked over the years. He's got a way that he carries himself on the field that he can be quite intent, but he looks like he's not.
Could we see Rory Atkins getting picks against the Crows? I just we've got nothing else this season to play for. Just
give me Rory Atkins.
Just
give
be
me Rory
funny
Atkins to win the game. Like that would just be the funniest shit.
Yeah, well, and
Rory Atkins, what a time!
Whoa! I forgot to mention that I'm stepping into enemy territory this weekend as well. So,
you're going, are you?
Yeah, pray for Mojo. I am going. Yeah, as listeners would know, unless you're new, but if you are new, welcome. Of course, thanks for joining us. I missed the Port Adelaide home showdown earlier this season with a back injury. Well, and off the back of it, because we did play so well, and my assumption was that we would have all 3 of our key defenders back by this stage and we'd pose a good chance. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with a Crows friend of mine, which I still am, but a
little bit less confident.
Yeah, a lot less than after we played them the first time. But stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I put my feelers out there for a few Crows friends that have tickets, including my brother, but I haven't gone too hard at it because I'm like, it's the drive down from the Barossa and night game and haven't been crook, so I'm not like too. And then it's the away showdown aspect of it too. So, but. Yeah, I could end up down there, but not super confident I will, and not trying super hard to either, to be honest. Be just as happy to come home and have some beers. But
but it must be said again, for anyone who's not with us on Patreon, it's the price of a coffee per month. Like it's $5.99 per month. If you want to jump on, you'll get 4 or 5 preview shows for the rest of the men's season.
Yeah,
we'll obviously be continuing into the AFLW season, and we'll be running game day chats through Patreon, I would imagine, for the rest of the year, football-wise. So,
I mean,
the more the merrier.
The rest of the year, so
yeah, if it's not in your capacity, that's absolutely fine. We appreciate everyone who supports us and what we're trying to do here. But we're not trying to fleece anyone, that's for certain. More so just trying to build a community and get to know more people that are along similar lines to us. And if you want to contribute, that's your prerogative. Like I said, we'll be we'll be running preview shows for the rest of the year on Thursday nights, dropping on Friday, and just like we tried out on Saturday, we'll be opening up Patreon chat group for the rest of the year as well on game day.
Yeah. I'll open one up again on Saturday evening, game day chat on Patreon. So it's essentially a group chat on Patreon that we can chat about the showdown, and yeah, Jamie will chime in from the game, I guess. So which will
be... my activity might be lesser than it was Saturday just gone. But it may be more alcohol infused, so it may also pose some comedic relief.
Yeah, which I think we may all need on the night. But we will talk about our thoughts more in depth on the game on the Thursday show that will drop on Friday morning, early Friday morning. So looking forward to it. Not know if I'm looking forward to the game too much, but looking forward to continuing to talk about it with you, Jamie, and everyone else as we continue along the journey. And already we start looking forward to 2026 as far as the men's side goes. But yeah, as we said, women's season coming up soon, and looking forward to getting into that too. I'm about spent, Jamie. How about you?
That's it, mate. Yeah, for anyone battling the trying conditions in the midst of winter, stay safe out there. But as always, thanks for joining us, and can the pair.
Can the pair.
And the pair.